Welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show, everybody. Recording this preview episode now on Wednesday, December 3rd as well. We just recorded, and at this point when this comes out, you'll be able to go watch our reaction to the DFB Pokal win for Bayern Munich 3-2 over Union Berlin, as well as the disappointing, disgusting 1-3 loss by Chelsea Football Club in the English Premier League over Leeds. But in this episode, we are going to be previewing the weekend's matches, which we will be live streaming. So please tune into that. It would mean the world if you joined us and watched along with us, because we're going to be watching Bayern Munich versus Stuttgart and maybe Chelsea and Bournemouth if they can win us back in this time period here. But yeah, some big matches to look forward to over the weekend. And before we begin, I would like to ask you to subscribe. In fact, I'll invite you to subscribe and comment and like and everything else that you can do on YouTube. We'd love it. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome in. Both teams are looking ahead to an exciting weekend with some matches here on Saturday, and streaming will be a great time. So, definitely join the stream if you are able to, and you're watching this right now, because these teams are fun, and we'll for sure see a lot of goals from Bayern and probably something from Chelsea. We don't know what it is, but there will be a match played, most likely.
Yeah, Chelsea is either going to show up or not. And tune in to find out, because you'll really want to see what we think about it in real time. But yeah, let's start off and preview the matches. Bayern plays a little bit before Chelsea, I think half an hour before Chelsea, 8:30 Central Standard Time on Saturday, December 6th. We got the European date situation going on here with the day, month, year, which makes more sense than the American way. Let's be honest. A lot of things that they do over in Europe make more sense than things that we do over here in America. But it is what it is. We're independent and proud of it, I suppose. But yeah, looking at this one, it's going to be a rematch of the Franz Beckenbauer Super Cup, which Bayern Munich did win 2-1. Bayern being the league winners, Stuttgart being the DFB Pokal winners from last year. Still in the cup this year as well, alive into the quarterfinals. But first, let's just look at the odds here. Again, even if you aren't a gambler like me, I'm not a gambling man, but I will look at the odds and see what the powers that be are thinking. We got Bayern as the favorites, it looks like, even on the road here, minus 222 if you want to bet on Bayern. A draw plus 400 and plus 475 for Stuttgart at home. So that's what Vegas will tell you.
And Vegas would be correct. I think Bayern should be a huge favorite in this one with the form that they have and what they've shown this season. Stuttgart have been fine, nothing to scoff at, of course, but, losing a few players as well from last season, they were never going to be as good this season, sitting 12 points behind Bayern Munich. I mean, that's pretty crazy to say at this point in the season, and they're still sixth in the table. So that's obviously a credit to Bayern for how strong they've been.
Yeah, we'll get into Stuttgart a little bit here. In my mind, they're a solid team. They actually have a really good attack, a really good midfield, but their back line, it's unserious to me. I really do respect, and they have a good coach too, Sebastian Hoeneß, again, I believe nephew of Uli Hoeneß, the power broker still at Bayern Munich. And I really do think Seb Hoeneß is a great coach. And again, I really think Stuttgart has a really good roster outside of their defenders on that back line. So I think it's potentially going to be a high-scoring match here. But yeah, like you said, Stuttgart sitting at sixth, 22 points. Bayern Munich sitting at first in the Bundesliga, 34 points after 12 match days. But Stuttgart, they were in good form, which we'll talk about, until this last weekend. They had a really bad loss, which actually, if they would have won this weekend, it would have put them all the way up into fourth. So unfortunate for Stuttgart. If we go over here and look at their recent matches, they did beat Bochum today in the cup. That own goal from Bochum really starting things off for Stuttgart. in that one. But then, yeah, they lost to Hamburg, which was the match I was referencing in the Bundesliga. Also playing in Europe in the Europa League. So they have a good win here against GA Eagles, a team that I'm not too familiar with, that's for sure. And then before that, like I said, they've been in really good form. They drew to Dortmund here, beating Augsburg, beating Feyenoord, losing to Leipzig, which isn't really a bad loss. Leipzig is in second place in the league right now. So that one isn't really a bad loss. And then, yeah, they beat Mainz and, lost to Feyenoord, it looks like, in the Europa League. So pretty good form from Stuttgart recently. But again, I want to mention, not a good match against Hamburg last week in the Bundesliga.
Stuttgart are in some pretty good form. And to be honest, general admission, Eagles is a phenomenal team in the Europa League. Just quite frankly, one of the best teams I've seen. So for Stuttgart to win that one 4-0, very, very impressive.
Oh, Christ. Yeah, let's go down here now and take a look at can we look at some recent matches between these two teams? Like I said, last time they played, Bayern won 2-1 in the Franz Beckenbauer Super Cup. But yeah, the time before that would have been second half of the year last year. Bayern won that one. Might have been 3-2. But it was kind of a late season win that didn't technically clinch the league for Bayern, but it was one of those that, like, you knew that they were going to win the league once they had beaten Stuttgart, and the way that they celebrated was just totally awesome. After that final third goal from Kingsley Coman, Alexander Nubel was out of his post and Coman bent it around him. Company ran onto the pitch. Kane jumped into his arms to celebrate, and it was just an awesome time. So that was a great win for Bayern against Stuttgart. 2 years ago at the end of the year, Stuttgart did beat Bayern. Actually, Stuttgart took second in the Bundesliga that year that Leverkusen won the league. Bayern took third, and Stuttgart had a win over Bayern that year. But yeah, those are some recent matches to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of Stuttgart, I think of a team that's kind of how they are, like mid-table, but upper mid-table, and a solid team that Bayern at times you think they're maybe going to struggle with, and then a lot of times just end up winning. Other than that, I can't say that I'm a Stuttgart expert, but I think this one will be exciting. I think it's going to be a close one because Stuttgart, in my opinion, now that they have a taste of Europa League, are going to probably want to push for Champions League this season, which I think could be huge for them and their fan base.
Yeah, agreed. They're one of those teams that are bordering on Champions League. They're not going to win the league, at least right now, but they are a team that could potentially finish top 4 in this Bundesliga. They're certainly a team that should want European football. And again, they're in the Europa League this year. Let's just run down their squad real quick, because they do have a good amount of names who you probably will recognize. And before we look at their current squad, yes, they did sell Nick Valdemata to Newcastle for 90 million euros. The man who wanted to go to Bayern was foregoing some of his salary to make the move happen. And Stuttgart basically laughed in the face of Bayern. Not that they should want to sell their players to Bayern. Stuttgart's executives were just assholes about the whole thing in their public comments and just the way that they talked. So it's extra sweet for me when Bayern can beat Stuttgart. I'll just put it that way, because I think Valdemata is a great player, and I do hope that Bayern can actually get him someday, potentially once Kane leaves.
And to be fair to him, he's been tremendous lately for Newcastle. He started out the year kind of rough, but he's actually been really good lately.
Yeah, he certainly has been. I think he might be a pretty impactful player for the German national team as well in this upcoming World Cup. But yeah, Dennis Undav is the star right now for Stuttgart, and Demirovic as well, who's been injured, is another guy who can pop in a lot of goals. Let's be honest. And then you go into their midfield and you'll see some guys who are wingers, but they're categorizing as midfielders here. Jamie Leveling, he's really good. Chris Furyk doesn't play maybe as much anymore, but he's more of like a classic winger who will bend in crosses, and he's a guy who you like to have on your team if you're Stuttgart. Angelo Stiller as well, one of the brightest midfielders in the Bundesliga, even potentially in Europe. It would not surprise me if he made a blockbuster move in these upcoming years, to be honest, to a European powerhouse. Um, Maybe the one that got away from Bayern, but they just didn't really have room in their midfield for him. And I mean, honestly, they'd love to have him back, but they do have a crowded midfield as well. And then you look at some defenders. Maximilian Mittelstadt, another mainstay here on the German national team. And obviously, Bayern Munich goalkeeper Alexander Nubel, on loan from Bayern Munich at the moment. He is a good goalkeeper, not a great goalkeeper in my mind. I don't want him back at Bayern Munich. I want to turn things over to Urbig. Nubel is just someone who, at this point in his career, I think should be better if he wants to, man the post at Bayern. Just too many mistakes at this point in his career, but nonetheless, he's still like a solid Bundesliga keeper and can be good for Stuttgart.
Yeah, that's an interesting spot to be in if you're him. It seems like he's been on loan there for a while now. Obviously, you're waiting behind Manuel Neuer. It seems like Urbig is going to get a shot as well. What would happen if Neuer retires? Really tough to say. If he's even going to retire, it'd be tough to be a goalkeeper because there's only one spot available, unlike other positions.
Yeah, and if you know anything about Manuel Neuer, it's that he will not cede game time really unless he has a broken leg, which he did. So yeah, there's a lot of speculation about what's going to happen at the goalkeeping position at Bayern Munich. Maybe this is not the episode to talk about that, but yeah, it's certainly questionable. And luckily, Urbig is still young enough where he can be learning under Neuer and get a handful of games here and there when Neuer's hurt or suspended or whatever, and be fine with it for now. But he's not going to be that young forever, and I would hate to honestly like loan him out because we see how that's gone with Peretz, we see how that's going with Nubel. Yeah, he's going to be too good eventually to stay behind Neuer, so we'll see what happens with that. But as far as a lineup goes for this one, I'll wager my best guess. Bayern's been playing a lot of matches, so you might see a couple of subs here and there. I think that, it's going to be something like we see here. I think Neuer will play again because, regardless of the finger injury he has right now, he's still playing every match. I will say that we'll see Limer. I think we'll probably see Upa and Ta as well, but don't be surprised if Kim slots in for one of these two. Stanisic, we'll probably see him. There's a chance we'll see Bischoff, but it's probably going to be Stanisic. I think we're going to see Kimmich and Goretzka in the midfield, just because Pavlovic could have a horrible injury, or even if he doesn't, I don't think we're going to see him again in a couple of days. I think we'll see Olise. Wouldn't be surprised if we do see Gnabry pop in to start this one, and then we see Carl sub on. And then I think we'll see Diaz, and I think we'll see Kane.
Yeah, that's something to watch for sure on Pavlovic, and I hope he, recovers well with whatever the injury is. Again, I didn't see it, but he's going to be an important player for the rest of the season, so you definitely want him. I think you're going to have to put out a strong lineup if you want to beat this Stuttgart team on the road, and I think Von Sohn is going to want to make another statement if he can, because if you can keep up some momentum from the week. The match against Union Berlin wasn't the cleanest, but it was a win. So keep that up and hopefully try to get another one here.
Yeah, and speaking of, I'm gonna call a win. I'm gonna predict a win, but I think it's gonna be a high-scoring game. I have said that I think Stuttgart has a good attack, a good midfield, but not a good back line. And Bayern, I think, obviously has a good attack and a good enough attack to pop in 3+ goals. But let's say 3-2. Bayern Munich get the win, because I do respect Stuttgart as well.
I respect them. Yeah, I'm going to go 4-2. I just think Kane is going to actually have a brace this time.
Not just in my playbook, but in the actual scorebook as well.
Correct. And if you were following along to our reaction, you'd know the reason for that comment there. And I think Olise will finally get to form as well here and get a goal.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I honestly, it's not just because I respect your opinions and your predictions, but I'm gonna go the exact same. I think that's what it's gonna be. Elise goal and Kane brace. So that's what I'm saying.
Now it's guaranteed to happen.
It's guaranteed to happen. And let's talk about Chelsea now. Chelsea will be playing Bournemouth. Yeah, a mere 30 minutes after Bayern Munich kicks off against Stuttgart.
Yeah, and we've had a few days now since the Leeds disaster. Oh wait, we're recording this right after the Leeds match, so I'm still very, very frustrated as a Chelsea fan. But it's a tough match here against Bournemouth, who are not in form. We know that doesn't matter. If anything, that's better for Bournemouth to be a worse team going up against Chelsea. So anything could happen in this match. Again, I originally predicted 2-2. I actually changed it to I think 1-0 for Chelsea before this Leeds match. Now I might just say 7-7 because I think we might see things that we've never seen before in a football match because that's what Chelsea do.
You have to tune into the live stream if we're going to see things that we've never seen before. Please.
Yeah, the Cherries are an interesting team because they should be much better than they are. That being said, the Premier League table is very congested, so them being 14th doesn't really mean they're 14th. We see them at 19, but they're what? 5 points behind Chelsea, who are in fourth. So, a win against Chelsea would put them right back into the mix of things. They've lost some players. I think everybody respects their manager, Iraola, quite a bit. There's been rumors that he's going to go to a top club at some point. Yet they're sitting at 14th. So, what are they? I don't know if they really even know the answer to that, but they're a team that can beat anybody, in my opinion. Just like Chelsea. So I think this is going to be one where Chelsea really are going to have to be at their best. And hopefully they have some key players back to face this tough team because they can be tough, especially on the road.
So basically what you're saying, and let me get this straight, because this is probably going to be the most convoluted statement I've ever said in my life, but this match that we're about to see between Chelsea and Bournemouth is about to be what happens when a movable or immovable object meets a stoppable or meets a stoppable or unstoppable force.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, both these teams really could be anything. I mean, and I know that's kind of a cop out when you analyze teams, but
It's true.
again, that's how you have to talk about Chelsea. There's no other way about it. And, the odds kind of agree with me because you'd think Chelsea would be bigger favorites. They're really not, just slight favorites in this one. Honestly, there's a lot of value there with either a draw or with Bournemouth with how Chelsea played against Leeds. Not saying I advise people to bet that. I tend to be anti-gambling lately, but if you're into it, then maybe consider that. I just think at the end of the day, when you analyze it, maybe really the best option is just to stay away betting wise because we know anything can happen. So maybe forget anything I just said in there. I think I'm breaking my brain with how I talk about this team.
Chelsea has broken my brain over and over and over again this season, so I am right there with you. Did you hear that the ticker line I tried to come up with for this match? I mean, come on, that's just complete nonsense.
Yeah, and if we look at previous matches, I think I don't know if they show up if you keep scrolling, but last year they drew 2-2 in the last Premier League match. I know, yep, there it is. That they were down 2-0, I believe. Reece James ended up tying things up with a beautiful free kick goal. He will be the key here, which we'll discuss. But then Chelsea did win 1-0, late goal from Christo Nkunku. Rest in peace. Who knows what he's doing over there in Italy, enjoying the pizza, I'm sure. But looks like Chelsea have, kind of just had a lot of success against Bournemouth. A lot of success. Really either drawing or winning in these last 7 or 8. So will that continue? We'll see. Again, you just don't know what's going to happen here, but such an important match for both these teams.
Yeah, Chelsea has had some fun matches against Bournemouth, so let's hope that happens again because after what happened with Leeds, Chelsea really does need a win. And again, you mentioned the congestion of the standings. Um, you need to really stake your claim in this kind of top 4 European, at least, section of the table. If you're Chelsea, you have to plant your flag down sooner or later.
Yeah, you definitely do. And if we dive deeper into this Bournemouth team, we're talking about a team that has outperformed, I think the expectations that they probably had when they originally get into the Premier League. They've been pretty solid over the last few years. I mentioned a great manager. They've had a lot of great individual talent pieces over the last few years, many that have, gone away. Kirkes, I think, is really one that sticks out in my mind. Went to Liverpool. A lot of people considered him one of the best left backs in the Premier League, but they've been kind of bad lately, as we see in their recent form here. They haven't won since they played Forest, who at the time were a terrible team. So tough loss against Everton, here in the midweek. Grealish gets a deflected goal. Just really tough there. Sunderland came back. They might have even been down 2-0, beat Bournemouth 3-2. Drawing the hammers is brutal. We see how poor they've been this season, and then you can maybe throw away the Villa and City matches. Those are two top 3 teams here, but Bournemouth will be looking for quite a bit more again, because both teams are desperate. And that's, again, just a very interesting thing about this match, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a get right match for Chelsea, in my mind, and not even just because of who Bournemouth is or whatever, but just because Chelsea needs to wash away the Leeds match as soon as possible. And we probably sound like, or at least I probably sound like, I'm talking about that a lot. It's fresh in my mind. I just, got over it, but it was that bad where they need to just wash it away as soon as possible. Hopefully this weekend while we're watching and having a great time together.
Yeah, and that's the goal. And if you just look at the squad here, this is a team, Bournemouth, their stadium is the smallest in the Premier League, but their fans will be getting after it. Evan Nielsen has been a solid forward for them. Unal as well has been solid at times. Krupi, who I don't know a ton about, but lately he's been playing pretty well, the French forward. So that's what I'm looking for there. Evan Nielsen at times can really be a bully in the way he plays as a striker. You got Semenyo then on the left wing, one of the best young players in the entire world. He is going to be on the list of every big club after this season. He even was, heading into this one, but I think, the rumors you hear about him, there's just a lot that he can offer. Kluivert as well has had a really solid year. Tavernier is a solid player. Tyler Adams, I will note, I think he's going to be missing the Chelsea match due to an accumulation of yellow cards. So that will be absolutely huge. He's been awesome. The true Captain America, if you know, for USA. So he's been big. And then Christie, I think, is out, but he's usually a pretty solid midfielder for them. So we'll see if he plays. And then just going down to the defenders, Senesi is a solid defender, the Argentine man. That name in the middle there, the Serb, I believe is a pretty solid defender. I will not try to pronounce it, but I've just seen some things about him that lead me to believe he's a solid player. So, we'll see if these Bournemouth players that I'm mentioning end up having good games. And then I will note Georgi Petrovic, guy's a fraud, an absolute fraud. Glad Chelsea did not keep him. He's looked atrocious at times.
Yeah, some bad mistakes for Petrovic this year, for sure. Really only to be outdone in stinkery by Jorgensen, as I always say. But yeah, I mean, he's clearly not what Chelsea needs at the goalkeeper position. So I think you are not going to be losing any sleep over getting rid of him. Let's be honest.
Yeah, to be fair to him, he wanted out, he wanted time, and he got it at Bournemouth. So credit to him for getting what he wanted. But yeah, that's kind of Bournemouth, and what they'll look to do is be great on the break with guys like Semenyo and Evan Nielsen, but they also can possess the ball and be solid. Iraola is as I mentioned, one of the best younger coaches in the Premier League and in Europe. So he really puts his squad together and has them performing at a high level most of the time, as we know they haven't been lately. But it's not a team that you scoff at looking at them in 14th. So Chelsea will have to bring their best performance. They're going to need guys like Palmer back, Reece James back, potentially Gusto starting. And they're going to have to figure out the midfield situation without Moises Caicedo. This match against Leeds, Enzo Fernandez was not great. He's shown that he cannot be a top performer when he's not with Caicedo. And I think that's going to be a huge thing to watch in this match. Can he perform at a high level? Whether it's next to Santos, if they throw Achampong in, Reece James, whoever, can Enzo Fernandez be the midfield machine that we know he can be in this match?
Yeah, I mean, there's no projected lineups from SofaScore yet for this one, but I would kind of agree with those points that you made and what you said. Yeah, obviously Chelsea missing Caicedo is huge. We saw that today against Leeds, but it just provides opportunity for guys like Santos, guys like Fernandez to step up and get the job done against Bournemouth. They got to do it.
Yeah, and I think in the back line, you're going to see Reece, Gusto probably, whether it's Reece in midfield, Gusto, however he wants to do it, Maresca that is, Cucurella at left back. You'll see Fofana at right center back. You'll probably see Chalobah, but good Lord, I'd love to see Achampong one of these times next to Fofana. I think those two together could be so dynamic. And then that would allow Cucurella, Gusto, James, whoever, to do whatever the hell they want in midfield and on those, wing back kind of positions, because those two are quick, they're fast, and I can trust them. That's the important thing.
Yeah, give me Achampong. We've been screaming it from the rooftops all day long. Don't Charlie Brown yourself with Tosin once again, Enzo. Banana peel. No, it can't be done once again. Here's a question, though. Is this, if there ever was one, I guess I should say, a Hato match? Is this a match we could see Hato? Is Cucurella going to play every minute of every game? I mean, he kind of needs to with how important he is, but will Hato ever see the pitch?
Yeah, he's pretty much a Caicedo at this point where you play him every match. We see it with Bayern Munich. They have a lot of guys like that where they just play them every match. And it's unfortunate if you're not getting rest. It really is, but there's no other way about it. Hato, we have not seen him step up to the level that Chelsea Football Club should be at. So that to me makes it tough to argue for him to get time.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Do you have a prediction for this one yet, or do we want to save it and keep the audience on their toes?
Yeah, I got to think through this one more after this Leeds match. I think it's going to really depend on what attacking options show up for Chelsea. I don't even want to pretend like I know in my mind who I'd want to see. I think it's really just Cole Palmer if you think he can start and play at least 60 minutes. And besides that, you could throw whoever out there that you think is going to give it their best shot on a given day. And if that's Mark Guiu, frickin' play him. If it's Buonanotte, frickin' play him. I don't really care, but just put guys out there that you trust and you think can deliver an A1 performance from minute number one. That's the key. From minute number one, you have to show up.
I mean, you almost forget that those people exist. Buonanotte, Guiu, with how little they're played, which is kind of unfortunate. Because in a match like this, they could potentially offer you something. When you're seeing a lot of the current attacking options for Chelsea stall, you got to try something else, especially at that striker position right now. But yeah, I'm certainly going to have to reevaluate what I thought about this team, Chelsea, that is, coming off of Barcelona, coming off of Arsenal. I have a hard time predicting against them against a team like Bournemouth. I'm probably going to go like 1-0 or 2-1 Chelsea, probably 2-1. But this is a little peek behind the curtain at the inner workings of my brain right now because I'm truly just thinking about it in the moment as we speak. But look for a 2-1 probably from me.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, I'll release my prediction at a later time, but it really could be 7-7.
I hope it is. I really hope it's 7-7 because that's going to be a fun match to watch. And
if you want to see absolute chaos on a stream and like TVs being kicked and thrown and cats running all over the place, then that's what you hope for.
yeah, tune in. We're gonna, enjoy these games with you, of course, because it's a fun time of the season, man. There's always football to be played. Certainly the case right now. And yeah, subscribe, please. Like, comment, get ready for that live stream, and buckle in. Why don't you?
Buckle in.
We're not ending this one with a savage note on the Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo. So we'll end it with a Mia San Mia.
Up the Chelsea.